Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome back to The Rustic Wife. Today I'm in the kitchen and I'm going to show you how you can make butter at home without your own dairy cow. It'll start with a dairy cow, but not your own, unless you have one. That's perfect. I wish I did have one, but I don't, and many of you don't either, so you can actually just start with this. You can go to the grocery store and pick up a liter or a quart of heavy cream or whipping cream. Here our whipping cream is 35% milk fat, so you can turn that into butter. So today I'm going to show you how you can do that without an old-fashioned butter churn, unless you have one, and go ahead and use that too, but most people don't, so I'm going to show you how you can do this at home. So the equipment that I'm going to use today is my food processor. That is so handy for making butter. I used to use my KitchenAid mixer. It's handy too, it does a good job, but if you have a food processor, this actually makes it so quick. You can use your KitchenAid mixer if you have one with the whisk attachment on it. You can also use your hand beaters for that. You can use a blender too, but I find you have to actually get a spatula in there and it gets kind of clogged at the bottom with the blades. You can also just shake it up in a jar. So I'm going to start with the quart or liter of 35% cream. Now, that works out to be about 4 cups, I believe. So this is totally optional, but I use 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar to my cream when I whip it. To me, it just kind of tastes like the butter I remember when I was little, when most of the cattle were grass-fed. It just kind of reminded me the sweet taste of grass-fed cream, which is turned into butter. I'm going to use, as I said before, my food processor, and then you're going to need a strainer, because you're going to strain the butter from the buttermilk when it separates. And the buttermilk that you will receive is actually not the same as the tangy, thick buttermilk you buy in the store for baking. This buttermilk is an old-fashioned buttermilk, and I'll show you that when it's done. It's just the byproduct of making butter. And then I'm going to add some sea salt to my butter. So it's really simple. I have the blade in my KitchenAid mixer. I have set this cream out on the counter for an hour, as room temperature cream seems to whip a lot faster. So this is the blade that I have for the attachment. Add the tablespoon of sugar. Again, that's optional. And try not to splash everywhere like I just did. So you just want to fit the lid on and turn it on. See, I've just stopped it to show you, but you can see within about 20 seconds, this food processor has turned it into basically cream already. So you want to go beyond that and let it separate, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I've stopped it again. This has only been about a minute. It's gone from the fluffy whipped cream stage. It kind of collapses into like a bit of a soupier consistency. And the next stage, it will be the butter separating from the milk. What I want to mention is, because I have this lid on my food processor, that's going to stop all the splashing of the buttermilk once the butter comes together. If you're using your handheld beaters with a bowl, put some plastic over, or if you're using your KitchenAid mixer, also put some plastic over kind of around the beaters. Otherwise, you're going to have buttermilk splashed everywhere and you are really going to swear. So I've done it, I know. So that's why I like my food processor for this. So you can see the butter has separated from the buttermilk. So now it's time to pour that butter into the strainer. And then you want to make sure you've got a bowl underneath your strainer, because you want to keep that buttermilk. Now, because I've added sugar to my buttermilk, just a tablespoon, or to my cream, my buttermilk's going to be slightly sweet. So if you don't want that, don't add the sugar. So we're just going to drain out that buttermilk. So put your strainer just on a plate or a bowl to catch any drips. And then we're going to pour the buttermilk into a jar to keep in the fridge for baking or drinking or smoothies. And store that in the fridge until you are ready to use it. Next, we're going to rinse this butter under ice cold water and get the rest of that buttermilk out of it. So take your butter and put it into a bowl. And you're going to rinse that under ice cold water and squeeze it in the water as the water's running over it. That'll get all the rest of the buttermilk out. It's quite soft right now, but it'll harden up in the water. Just keep working it and squeezing it to get this buttermilk out. You don't want any left in there to make your butter rancid. So after you've rinsed and squeezed and gotten most of the buttermilk, well, hopefully all of the buttermilk out, your water should be clear. That tells you you've gotten most of it out. And try to not let little bits of butter go down your drain. You don't want to clog your drain with fatty butter. So this step right here, this is optional. I'm going to salt my butter. You don't need to, but you can. So I'm taking a teaspoon of sea salt. You can use a quarter of a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, whatever you like, but I like the butter salty. So sprinkle it over top. And then you just want to fold it into your butter. You don't want to put the salt into the cream before you're whipping it, because then you're just going to have really salty buttermilk. I've had a lot of people ask me if it's cheaper to make your butter at home. It's not really, unless you get your cream on sale. So for this liter, I paid $6 for this liter. So it's going to make a few ounces shy of a pound. So it's not going to make quite a pound of butter, but you also get a half liter of old-fashioned buttermilk as the result of making this butter. So you get almost a pound of butter and almost a half liter of old-fashioned buttermilk that you can use for baking, for homemade puddings. You can put it in smoothies. Your chickens really would love it. Your animals like it. It's good to drink. So I always try to get cream on sale. I bought this for the sake of this video. And I also try to get butter, pre-made butter on sale too. So I'll do both. I just picked up a pound of butter the other day for $3. So I got 4 of them to stockpile, but I also stockpile cream. And you can also freeze your cream as well to make butter. So it's not cheaper to make it, but it's fun to make it at home. And sometimes it is if you get your cream on sale. So my butter is all salted and ready, and I'm just going to pack it into this enamel container. You could form it into a rectangle and wrap it in wax paper as well, so you can cut sections off of it for baking. But I'm just going to put this out on the table for toast and homemade bread. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope I didn't babble on too much about homemade butter, but I wanted to show you today how easy it is to make butter at home without your own dairy cow and without an old-fashioned churn. I really hope you try this at home. It's really good. And if you like the content of my channel, please consider subscribing and hit that like button if you like today's video, and also hit the post notification button so that you know when I put up new videos. Thank you again for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Until then, it's the Rustic Wife signing off. Damn it. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking and show you. Milk my own dairy cow, as we call it in Canada. I guess. Just want to keep on folding. Just want to keep on. I'm not a professional, but it's kind of, you get the drift.